Hello and welcome to the first of the Dick Turpin reviews. This episode is called Swiftnick, or How the Band Got Together. Following the credits, which promise so much, we find a lone rider pursued through the blue filters. The Black Swan, a hive of scum and villainy run by Mary and her son Nick. Careful of where you get your money out, there's always somebody dodgy watching.
A pig in breeches!
This is Spica. He's our Sheriff of Nottingham, and he's a bit of a dick, as you can see.
Search the place. Upstairs.
He's currently looking for Dick Turpin, but...
Turpin's dead, Spica. He was hanged at York, and a very large crowd watched him swing.
This is Sir John Glutton, and you really need to watch his face whenever he's on, because the very best expressions come from him. Now, at the moment they're talking about the hanging of Dick Turpin in York. The historical Dick Turpin really was hanged in York, and this is claimed to be a false Dick Turpin that was going under the name.
He's dead and in hell, probably robbing the devil.
It doesn't really work because the real Dick Turpin was going under an alias when he was hanged, but hey, it works for the story.
Good night, Spica.
This is what you want from your highwayman story: masked riders riding through the fog, and poor saps waiting to be robbed.
Dad! Your money!
I haven't got any money.
It turns out that's not strictly true. However, the money does not belong to
It's
him.
my master's. What'll I tell him?
Tell him Dick Turpin took it.
Turpin? But Turpin's dead.
Do I look dead?
But my master will never believe me, sir. He'll think I stole it. If you was to shoot two holes in my hat, that might convince him, sir.
Now, the highwayman takes him up on this offer, which I find very strange, because the one advantage a highwayman has is his horse. He should never get off his horse.
I don't know who you are, Cully, but you're certainly not me.
Fooled you. Of course, the Dick Turpin was in the opening credits, so we all knew it was him anyway. But this does introduce us to the fact he has cunning plans and very cunning disguises. I have a theory about how the disguises work. Namely, everyone looks like they're wearing the disguise because of the silly wigs and things, so it blends in fine.
But Spica's throwing us out unless Sir John Glutton gets 20 guineas. I've got to get it from somewhere.
Maybe you have, but not from me, boy. Go on, get up.
The kid's Nick, and he has this high-pitched voice. So I have no idea where
Now give me your purse.
comes from. He never uses that voice again, and in fact I'm not that sure it was his voice to begin with. Look at Dick Turpin here. He's holding that money. You're going to see where that money's going to go in a minute. Cut to...
Your time's up.
You can't mean to evict us.
That's exactly what I mean.
This scene is boring because the person playing Mary's not very good. Don't worry, she's not in the rest of the series.
Oh, Captain, I beg of you.
You'll have plenty of time for begging.
Oh, show us a little mercy.
Throw them out.
20 guineas.
Turns out she's got the money. I wonder which noble person gave her that.
Take it.
Well, well. How very surprising.
She says she borrowed it.
Spica goes to tell Mary that she hasn't been evicted. But as he's sitting there, something occurs to him.
Come on.
What are are you doing?
I must warn Mr. Turpin.
No, Nick, no!
What the devil? Oh, lud.
Mr.
Cue Nick fuck up number one.
Mr. Turpin! Mr. Turpin! Mr. Turpin!
Why didn't you just put a rope round my neck? Ah! I want my money back!
The chase is on. Again. Nick decides to use himself as a decoy for Spica's men, whilst Dick Turpin goes after the carriage to get his money back.
Dad! Dad, I say! Hold I'll have you hanged!
I've been hanged already.
Get down!
Of course Captain Spica captures Nick, but meanwhile Dick Turpin has managed to steal some money and a few of John Glutton's rings. He's not very happy.
I'll have exhibited alive!
As for Swiftnick, he gets one of Glutton's best faces.
You'll hang, I promise you. You'll hang.
Peanuts and caramel. Marathon. Peanuts and nougat. Marathon. Peanuts and chocolate. Comes up peanuts. Slice up the slice. Marathon. Roasted peanuts. Extra peanut taste. Comes up peanuts. Slice after slice. Marathon.
Back from the adverts, and we're going to try and be dramatic now.
He's to be tried tomorrow. Can they really mean to hang him?
I am so glad that Mary is not in the rest of the series.
Isn't there any justice?
Oh, Mary. You know there isn't. Maybe if there was, I wouldn't be on the road.
You mean your farm?
It's exposition time! This Dick Turpin is an old soldier who's come back to find everything he ever owned was stolen by John Glutton. There's only really one other episode in the first series which deals with the backstory of Dick Turpin, and that one is far more interesting than this.
One day I'll be ready.
Ready?
I'm going to ruin Glutton and everyone round him. I shall wear them down like water dripping on a stone, and I'll make my own justice.
Then make some for Nick.
Time for Cunning Ruse number 2.
Get out of the way, my man!
Interesting to note that the doctor is Scottish. There was a bit of a thing about Scottish doctors in the 18th century. Many doctors did come from there because their education was so much better in those areas. And so, here we have one. And Dick Turpin takes the disguise of the doctor. Unfortunately, his accent is a little shit.
Oh, aye. Very true. Very true.
Dick Turpin checks the doctor's supplies, and then we cut to a huge Sir John face.
Where'd you get it, eh?
From a dying man.
Dying?
Aye, now deed.
Deed?
Deed is a doornail.
Dead? Turpin's dead, you mean?
How many times has he died in this episode? Quite a few, I think. And that disguise, goodness me. Everyone can see who he is, surely. But not Sir John, because Sir John is blinded by his ring, or because of plot conventions. Anyway, Sir John's eating, because that's what he does.
Who shot him?
Oh, man. He was near shot.
Well, and how did he die?
Very painfully. Of the plague.
Gods! You sure?
I've seen too many, Sir John. The burning fever. The dreadful agony. And then... gone.
It's the best scene in the episode. So now Dr. Turpin manages to give Sir John some laudanum to make him sleep because of course he's terrified of the plague. and it also means that he can go down and get Swiftnick because he claims that's where the plague started.
The plague. Open the door.
John. Sir John, wake up. Sir John, wake up, wake up!
Turpin.
Ah! Dr. Turpin.
Cue wig attack.
Get the cards! Do as you're told!
The sword is a gentleman's weapon, Turpin.
Then why are you using it?
They sword fight around the balcony of Rookham Hall. They're going to be doing this a lot in the next few weeks.
Skip to the end. Now give Sir John a message when he's woken from his little nap, will you, Spica? Tell him to leave Mrs. Smith alone in future. Otherwise I'll burn Rookham Hall down to the ground. You got that, Spica?
I'll tell him.
It's very kind of you.
Here is one of the first times I noticed that Spica reminded me of another little toady.
What do you want, darling?
It's Captain Darling to you.
They get away, and this is going to be the beginning of a beautiful kind of friendship.
Anyway, Master Nick Smith. No. Swiftnick.
Swiftnick?
Yeah, the king gave it to another famous highwayman. So now I'm giving it to you, because you'll need all luck going.
Incidentally, that highwayman was Swiftnick Nevinson, the man who originally rode from London to York. And as Turpin says...
That's right!
To sum up, this is the weakest episode of the series. The older, younger brother dynamic of Dick Turpin and Swiftnick hasn't really yet been established. Nor has the dynamic between Spica and Sir John Glutton, which is kind of like an old married couple. Nor has it really pulled out its main trump card, a whole host of interesting side characters by some of Britain's best character actors. However, Richard O'Sullivan is already playing a roguishly charming Dick Turpin, and Christopher Benjamin is a wonderfully rubber-faced Sir John Glutton. Things are only going to get better from here on in.